Okay, it's recording now. All right, so the first question that you picked out was about how the COVID-19 pandemic poses a severe threat to people whose lungs, immune systems, and hearts have been weakened by environmental contaminants. The risk factor for list for severe COVID-19 cases issued by the CDC is a litany of conditions aggravated or caused by pollution. For example, asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, heart disease, hypertension, and diabetes. In Louisiana's Cancer Alley, exposure to environmental contaminants is most acute in communities that are majority African American. What can be done moving forward to make sure that vulnerable and marginalized populations live in communities that have safe water and clean air across Louisiana?
Yeah, so certainly no one, nowhere else in the Louisiana has felt the devastating impacts of climate change more than our state, especially our coastal communities. I believe that you know it's related to environmental and climate justice is linked to racial justice, economic justice, and health justice, and so certainly I believe that there are too many low income families and communities of color drowning in cancer causing pollutants in Louisiana's second congressional district. And so our response to pollution and climate change has to be rooted in the understanding that all these injustices are linked. So, just as a point, as a state legislator, I champion legislation to take action on climate crisis and pollution because I believe that everyone has a right to clean air and clean water and a healthy environment. So, in Congress, my intention is to support immediate action to reverse some of the bad, I should say, dangerous and destructive things that the Trump administration did, and roll back some of the critical climate and environmental uh, protections and get those back on the books. I'll fight to be protecting the Clean Air and Water Act from industry attacks, and just to ensure that we hold polluters accountable for violations. There are a lot of good laws on the books, but they don't get enforced sometimes at the state and the federal level. And so I'll be fighting for stricter emissions regulations and enforcement penalties for the violations.
That sounds amazing. Um, okay, and that really ties in a lot to the next question, which is
Sure.
that in 2018, NOLA.com stated that a personal finance website called Wallet Hub claimed Louisiana as the second worst among US states in environmental friendliness, citing that as long as we rank among the worst in recycling, municipal waste production, and soil quality, the chances of more destructive natural disasters will only rise, not only hurting the state of our economy, but also the lives of every Louisianian. What are the steps you might take while in office to combat these heartening statistics? What priorities of yours would you want the average voter to be aware of?
Yeah. And so can you just repeat the first part again? I apologize.
Well, the first part is basically just saying how a NOLA.com article linked to a website called Wallet Hub claimed Louisiana was the second worst among US states in environmental friendliness. And they cited that we were the worst in recycling, municipal waste production, and soil quality. And that links to more destructive natural disasters.
Yeah. So certainly those are not good statistics, but our coastal wetlands and our barrier islands are a crucial part of our national, I guess our natural storm protection system. And thanks to rising seas and more powerful storms and oil and gas activity, and certainly we are losing a football field of wetlands every hour. I mean, climate change broadly speaking, threatens to undermine the massive efforts underway in Louisiana to restore our coast. I think that there are, and I guess, are you speaking specifically of like, I've authored legislation for example, to require construction of state buildings to include energy efficient measures. And in Congress, my intent is to certainly support measures in the Green New Deal to achieve net zero, greenhouse gas emissions through a just and fair transition to all communities. But and of course, I support reducing carbon emissions. But I guess I'm trying to get to the crux of the question.
Yeah, no, I think that hits it pretty well. And a lot of our questions are kind of around this, main broad idea of climate change because that's the force of most environmental activism right now. Um,
Right.
and so the our third question was just kind of a wrap up question. If you want to like speak on anything you haven't spoken on yet about the climate crisis in general, any
Sure.
ideas you have, anything you just want people to know that you're thinking about.
Sure. Well, I mean, first of all, I think we need a Green New Deal to protect the future of our country, and I agree with the scientists that the United States and the world must work to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions as soon as possible. Certainly no later than 2050, hopefully sooner. That's why I'm supporting it and hope that we can get it done. There's so much opposition to good things that can improve our economy and people's social status. And the Green New Deal is one of those things. And I hope we can really move it now that we have the House and the Senate and the White House. This is if we pass that bill, I think it's a real opportunity for Louisiana to lead the charge in clean energy while reducing our carbon footprint and investing in clean energy. So I believe we can build a thriving, equitable, and globally competitive clean energy economy that puts workers and communities first. Um, Workers and communities of color have endured the brunt of the effects of climate change. And in order to counteract that and the inequality, the Green New Deal will prioritize workers and communities of color by giving hard hit communities priority access to new job opportunities, cost savings, pollution cleanup projects, and climate resilience initiatives. So I'll be sure I would be working to ensure that all Louisianians benefit from clean energy and a clean energy economy, especially those who have been left behind for so long. And I'll support diversity and equity in clean energy economy and investments in education and training for underrepresented groups. Um, I got to mention that my chief of staff for my office, who's my environmental expert, Jonathan Henderson, is a alum of Ben Franklin. I got to give a shout out to him, and I understand that I can't end this interview without saying OG Snowclaff. You should know what that means, right?
Yeah, perfect.
Right. I didn't go to Ben Franklin, but I'm told that that is Go Falcons backwards.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
yeah, so I was briefed very well for this.
Yeah, it sounds like you are. Well, it's really refreshing to hear you have all these ideas about such positive things that you want to bring to the national legislature. It's just great. And then,
Yeah, I need great students like those that are members of your society and organization to work with me to make sure that I can get these things done. There are a lot of internships in congressional offices, and that's where I started. Just so you all know, I started in working for my congressman from Louisiana and my U.S. senator when I was a student at Howard University. So it's a great opportunity to learn, and you too could be in Congress one day.
oh, cool. That's very cool. Okay, so we've kind of moved through all of our environmental questions. I just have one more. That
Sure.
so there are a lot of Louisiana high school seniors who are eligible to vote in this special election. So do you have any advice on what to do on your first trip to the polls?
Of course. I mean, your vote is your voice. It's important to be as informed as possible heading into the voting booth, and encourage another friend to go with you. Friends don't let friends head to the polls alone, right? A little take on something else we hear about a lot, right? So make sure that you get educated on who's running. My information is at KarenCarterPeterson.com. And so folks can learn more about my platform, but go visit people's websites before you go to the polls. But please do participate because that's your voice.
All right, thank you. So we've moved through all of our questions. Thanks so much for sitting down and talking to me.
Of course. Well, it's a pleasure. Thanks, Ben, and to all the Ben Franklin High School Green Society club members. Good to see you all and hope to visit again soon.
All right,
Bye.
thanks. I'll go
All
ahead
right.
and end the meeting. Bye.